April 27, 2021.
Coming to you live from the economic capital of Nigeria, Lagos. This is Breakfast Central.
To all our viewers joining us across Africa and the world, welcome to Breakfast Central. Good morning.
Bonjour, bienvenue au spectacle. Welcome and thank you for making it a date with us on Breakfast Central.
Now we begin Tuesday's Breakfast Central with the headlines. Well, South Africa marks Freedom Day today.
Talking about security, the U.S. Secretary of State to meet President Buhari today on Breakfast Central.
Big story out there in London. An African is trying to race for the mayoral post there in London. We'll tell you all about him on this program.
Talking about transportation in Nigeria, where we'll be joining Benga on New Central Takes the Rail.
Well, there are stories trending across the continent. We'll tell you all about it. Yes, from the Twitter sphere.
Kuna kallon News Central TV.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for sticking with us. It's April, yes, Tuesday, 27, 2021. Let's begin with, yes, a review of the newspapers from across Africa. We'll start with the New Vision in Uganda this morning with a big front page headline there. You have, it says, list of officers inside. That says over 1,000 soldiers promoted, and also we have a woman there in that section. So there you have it, over 1,000 soldiers promoted, and big story from yesterday, that man there who's got Ugandan heritage but clearly British, Daniel Kaluuya, yes, picking up an Oscar for his performance of in that movie Judas and the Black Messiah. So good one for Uganda, also claiming him. We do that in Nigeria, so well, good one for him. He's clearly African, you have to say, but Daniel Kaluuya picking up that Oscar. So there you have it on the front page of a New Vision in Uganda. Yeah,
we'll call that Famzin. Okay, moving on to the Kenya paper, we have the Business Daily this morning. Looking at the Business Daily, we have used car prices jumped to 29 PC on scarcity. Wow, I mean, these are used cars, is what we call Tukumbo in Nigeria, but you have more details in the Kenyan newspaper talking about Business Daily this morning. Nairobi is home to a number of Kenyan billionaires. Yes, a 75 PC of Kenyan billionaires. That's what the story is saying. This and very much more you can see in the Business Daily from Kenya this morning.
All right, so we can go to West Africa with the Punch in Nigeria. So they usually always love to give us a punch, you have to say. So it says 15 cops, 5 soldiers killed. Governor says Abuja not safe. The likes of Boko Haram hoist flags in Niger, in Niger village, sees housewives, 50 communities deserted. So there's more on insecurity in the country in Nigeria. That's on the front page of the Punch. Although they've gone for a picture of a mass cremation of victims of coronavirus at a crematorium in New Delhi, India. India has had a skyrocket of cases in the last couple of days, and there you have really tragic pictures. So this is a mass crematorium of dead people being burned, people who've died from coronavirus. So not a good look this morning in India, but that's what the Punch have gone for on their front page.
All right, moving from the Punch in Nigeria, we are going to Zimbabwe, where we have the Daily News. Now, looking at the Daily News, you'll see the battle for rural vote kicks off as 2023 national elections beckon. More details, you will see that in the Daily News this morning. Also in the Daily News, you will see the picture of one of Yes, you see the picture of one of the politician who's coming out. Yes, you can see him. And also going places, I-Party and sports on MTV-based TV. More details in the daily news from Zimbabwe this morning.
All right, so there you have it for the front pages. Let's now bring you some of our top stories on the program today.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Now today we start with Africa as South Africa celebrates its Freedom Day. It's 27 years since the country marked its first democratic elections, releasing it from oppressive apartheid rule. For millions of South Africans who never had the right to vote before, this signaled the transformation of the country into a non-racial democratic society.
But for many, this has only been freedom in name. Now, we reflect on some of the challenges that South Africa still faces 27 years on. And joining us today is South African journalist and editor Candice Bailey to talk about democracy in South Africa and its walk to freedom in the last 2.5 decades. Good morning, Candice. Welcome back to Breakfast Central.
Morning, Breakfast Central.
Good morning. Okay, so let's start with the very first question, talking about the mood and excitement in the country. What is the exact mood in the country today as we speak?
Well, Lucia, I think it's more bittersweet this morning. It's our second Freedom Day as a suffering under a pandemic. And I think what the pandemic has really highlighted is that we are still a society of haves and have-nots. South Africa, I think, is a beautiful and a comfortable country for those who have, but for those who don't have, I think South Africa still presents itself as a challenge for them. I don't think that they have easy access to things, and it's really a pity that is the case. But I think for in general, there is quite a somber mood today.
All right, Candice. So what are some of the challenges, facing the country that they're going to be reflecting on today, being Freedom Day in the country?
Look, Lisa, I think if I could put them into 5 categories.
Okay.
Our public healthcare system is really a challenge in terms of people being able to access quality healthcare. That's really not happening as it should be happening. Public schooling in South Africa is also still a challenge. There are lots of schools, particularly in rural areas, where infrastructure is not proper. Teachers don't have classrooms, they don't have the necessary equipment to do what they need to do. Poverty is still a very big issue. I mean, poverty and inequality. South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world. And really that comes through on a daily basis. That poverty and that inequality is also always categorized along racial lines. So the bottom 60% of our country still lives off social handouts, which is really terrible. It's a travesty.
All right. Okay. Please go on.
Sorry, Oli. Last thing I want to put together is corruption. I mean, we still have high levels of corruption in our society. Thanks.
Okay, so now we've spoken about the challenges. Can we really say that South Africans can have good stories to tell on this particular day, being Freedom Day?
There is a good news story to tell. There always is. I think that the narrative of Nelson Mandela's Rainbow Nation has really shone through over the last 27 years, and that is a beautiful story. We've got the most beautiful constitution in the world. It embodies really beautiful rights and freedoms for everybody. But at the same time, the inequality still shines through, and I think that's something that South Africa really needs to work on and really needs to deal with over the next 27 years.
All right, Candice, you just mentioned, the Rainbow Nation legacy of the late Nelson Mandela, clearly an African world great. Now, 27 years on, today is Freedom Day. Is the government doing enough, to help citizens enjoy the freedoms that the South African Constitution, which you just mentioned, that is beautiful, it's guaranteed?
I think the government must firstly be commended for what it's done to date. I think that they have made significant strides in creating society where we do have better services and amenities. But Amnesty International, for example, just released a statement this morning saying that the government really needs to do more, prioritize South Africans and make sure that their basic human rights are met. And I think that that is the message that we need to go forward with this morning, is that the government can do more. And it needs to do more to make sure that all South Africans live in this free and equal society in the way it was envisioned.
All right, Candice Bailey, regular on Breakfast Central and indeed on News Central. Thank you once again for giving us what's the mood like today, Freedom Day in South Africa. We say congratulations to you and other South Africans. Enjoy Freedom Day.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Right then, still on top stories right here on Breakfast Central. Now, the United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, will meet with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari today during his first virtual trip to Africa since U.S. President, his boss basically, Joe Biden, came into office.
Now, strengthening democratic governance, building lasting security, and promoting economic ties and diversification will top agenda at the meeting, according to Blinken's spokesman, Ned Price.
Now, Boko Haram insurgency, to banditry, kidnapping, militancy, farm herders clashes, the security crisis in Nigeria has clearly worsened, especially in the last few months. Now, Price is, in a statement on Monday, said his principal will meet with Buhari and his Foreign Affairs Minister, that's Geoffrey Yema, over some of the challenges confronting the West African nation.
Now, joining us to look at what may likely transpire in this virtual meeting is Managing Director of the Avalon Daily, Ayodele Lawal Adio. Good morning, Adio.
Good morning, Ayodele Adio. Good morning. If you can hear us,
Okay.
All right. If you can hear us, Adio, just go ahead and speak. So we're expecting that one today, big meeting. So I think it will be one of the first for the new Secretary of State under Joe Biden's administration, Anthony Blinken, meeting, one of the foremost nations of in Africa, which is Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. Clearly, it's now time to talk about U.S.-Nigeria, not just Africa relations, U.S.-Nigeria relations now with Anthony Blinken.
Exactly, and we will see how this will play out, because the level of insecurity in Nigeria has cut across quite a lot of states in the country. Looking at the southeast, coming down to the south and even the northwestern part of Nigeria, we can hear and we have seen the mayhem and the insecurity challenges that we are facing in the country at the moment. So this is very crucial in the way forward in terms of insecurity in Nigeria.
All right, if Adio can just unmute his device so he can join us now. I'm sure he can hear us. So Ayodele Adio of Avalon Daily, you can unmute your device so you can join the discussion, because this is quite big. We're expecting that virtual meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, which will be the very first since the Joe Biden administration took over. All right, Ayodele Adio of Avalon Daily, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast. Can you hear us? Hello, Ayodele. I'm not sure he can really. We can establish the network there. Perhaps it will be fixed up. That's for sure. But I'm sure he's listening to us and he wants to really join this debate. An interesting question I'd like to ask is, what do Nigerians expect? Because from this meeting between the Secretary of State and President Muhammadu Buhari, what will be the top of the line agenda? If not, perhaps the security situation.
Okay. And we're looking for solutions. We're looking for realistic solutions that can be applied. I mean, looking at other applications or looking at other solutions that have been used in the past, we can see that it hasn't given the best results or the result as expected by Nigerians. So right now, Nigerians and the government is looking for a way forward on how to curb the insecurity that is happening in Nigeria. I mean, right now, a lot of Nigerians, a lot of citizens are too scared and are not sure if they can actually sleep with their two eyes closed at night.
But the meeting is going to be virtual. We know that because of the coronavirus, all the international, pomp and pageantry that happens with diplomatic visits and diplomatic discussions and meetings doesn't happen anymore. You now have to go virtual for this. I'm kind of like, you know, the average Nigerian who will say, will it really have an effect? You know, it's not Joe Biden himself who is coming, it's Anthony Blinken. Well, Blinken has been everywhere since Joe Biden took over. Still, it is still the U.S. government, so to speak, coming to talk to Buhari.
Well, we need to just be hopeful and watch and see how it unfolds, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will ask if it's all about the fiscal meeting. Let's see the action that would come out after this virtual meeting, be it virtual, be it physical. Let's look at the outcome and let's see how effective that outcome will play out for Nigerians in terms of insecurity in the country.
And when it comes to U.S.-Nigeria relations, what can we say, you know, as Nigerians, as Africans, between the last administration, which was the Donald Trump administration, and this new administration, which is barely, you know, about less than 6 months old into it? Would we say that the relations were severed during the Trump years? Although, if you remember, a couple of years ago, Buhari did go to the White House to speak with Donald Trump. Insecurity was on the agenda. There was talk about helicopters and, you know, the donations coming. All right, we have Ayodele Adio, who is the managing editor for Avalon Daily. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, good morning. So we're talking about Anthony Blinken's virtual meeting with President Muhammad Buhari. What do you think will be the likely highlight at this meeting and U.S.-Nigeria relations, to be more specific now?
Clearly, the Americans' interest in Nigeria is solely security at this very moment. So I expect that the majority of the discussions will be focused around regional security, especially security in the Sahel, and of course internal security in Nigeria. So I don't expect anything outside discussions that would largely weigh on national security crisis that we're facing as a country, and of course the regional security crisis in the Sahel, you know, owing to the death of Idris Deby, and of course the crisis in Niger, and not to forget the election tensions that is happening in Benin Republic, which could obviously metamorphose into another crisis. So those are the issues that are likely to dominate the conversations today with President Buhari.
All right, now still talking about insecurity, do you think the government needs help in tackling the rising cases of insecurity and kidnapping from the international community?
There's no doubt that we need help. The question is, what kind of help do we need? First of all, you recall that early last year, there was a report that was published to the US Congress, which clearly stated that the United States was no longer interested in degrading the terrorist groups, which is the ISWAP in the Sahel region. They were just interested now in merely containing it. You would also realize that in the last 10 years, the US has put in support, counterinsurgency support, in funding and equipment in the Sahel region, about $3.4 billion, and have put about 1,000 troops on ground in Niger and in Chad. And in that same period of time, what we have seen is that insecurity has only worsened. The ISWAP have only grown stronger, and terrorists have only become bolder in the Sahel region. So the question is not whether or not we need support from the United States. The question is what kind of support, and how will that support be targeted at really dealing and decimating the terrorist group that are terrorizing us in the Sahel region. So there's no question that we need support. What we need to do is to define the kind of support that we need. And of course, there needs to be a leaning on the French, because the reality is that the US will always take the lead from the French foreign policy in the Sahel and take a cue from that. And the French policy in the Sahel has clearly not been favorable to Nigeria, because it has clearly exacerbated the problems and the challenges that we've been facing over the last decade.
All right, Ayodele, but now we have seen reported cases of insecurity in the north and also in the east. Even yesterday, 2 more students were killed and housewives abducted in Niger State, as mentioned by the Niger State governor. Let's see that video. Hold on, Ayodele. Let's see that video and come back to you on this.
It's critical and it's terrible. Last night, we had over 3,000 people here from communities that have been displaced by bandits and Boko Haram elements around Munya and Shiro local governments. However, some of them have started going back to their various homes, and there are some other communities that we think are safe, they can go back, but the vast majority of them will have to remain here because their towns have been taken over by bandits and Boko Haram elements. Their wives have been seized from them. Their wives have been forcefully attached to Boko Haram members elements. In fact, I just heard they've already placed their flag in Kauri, so which means they've taken over the territory. And this is what I've been engaging the federal government with. And unfortunately, it has now gotten to this stage that if care is not taken, nobody, not even Abuja, is safe. We have been saying this for long. We've been saying this, and all efforts have been in vain. I hope with the outcome of these banditry activities and terrorist activities, I hope the time has come now to see reasons for a very coordinated military action to take place so that we displace. The Boko Haram elements are trying to use these areas as their home, just like they did in Sambisa.
All right, so that was the Niger State governor speaking there regarding a recent issue in the country. He also talked about that, you know, no one being safe, not even Abuja. We still have Ayodele Lawal Adio, who's the managing editor for Avalon Daily. Ayodele, we just listened to the governor, and he spoke about even the safety in Abuja. Niger State is not in the northeast. It's generally regarded as north central. So what could be responsible for this rise in security problems in that region now?
I think politics will destroy us faster than this terrorism will. And this is largely because of the dishonesty of the politicians that we have largely around the north central and the northwestern states of the country. Because for several years, these problems have been brewing. There have been policy papers and positions that have argued that the terrorists have been pushing northwestwards and north central. But these politicians have continued to play politics. They have stood in front of the camera and told you that the president is completely in charge. They have stood in front of the camera and told you that all is well. They have lied to their citizens consistently, and now the chickens have come home to roost, such that the governor has no other option than to admit that even the terrorists are now hoisting flags in certain local governments in Niger State. Now, the crisis is even beyond what is even being reported. These terrorist groups are running complete riot across the northwestern states and in many places in the north central states of the country. And except we begin to speak truth to power, except governors whose states are largely being affected by these menaces begin to look the president in the eye and demand better for their people, nothing is going to change. You still have governors like the governor of Katsina State, who is still playing politics and saying that all is well and the president is doing the excellent job in his state while people are dying every second in his state. Yesterday has to be one of the bloodiest days this country has seen. It was insecurity across the entire nation. While our soldiers are being killed on the battlefield in the northeast, people are being maimed and raped in the northwestern states of the country, while people are being kidnapped from universities in Benue, while there are killings in Kaduna of young people who simply went to school. There's a total state of breakdown with internal security in our country. And it's amazing. It's amazing that there is no sense of urgency. Yeah. It's amazing that we're carrying on like it's business as usual when our house is burning. It's unbelievable.
Well, that seems to be, you know, some reportedly the case. But I need to ask you this one, Adio, because we heard from the governor of Niger State who talked about a coordinated military offensive or coordinated military plan. He's not speaking for himself in that, you know, in that context, from that audio we just snippet we just had. He's not speaking. He's speaking from not just a northeast, general, a coordinated military offensive on these terrorists, on these insurgents who have now clearly broken into Niger State. Would you agree with his plan? Perhaps that should be the next point to take from a military point of view.
Again, it looks like we're taking a very singular, myopic, binary approach towards solving the security problem in northern Nigeria and the broader security challenges that we're facing as a country. It is impossible, and let me state it clearly, it is impossible for the Nigerian military to deal with all the security challenges we face in the country. They do not have the amount of personnel, neither do they have the resources to be able to tackle every security challenge that we face in the country. What needs to happen is a confederation of policy and issues combined together. There's a socioeconomic component to this issue. There's a border challenge to this issue, which is an immigration issue. There's a diplomatic angle to this, which happens with diplomatic efforts with countries in the Sahel. So to limit it simply to boots on ground is why we are failing to deal with insecurity in our country. We need to do more to bring all the actors together to create a Marshall Plan for us to begin to tackle insecurity. At the moment, we're simply playing lip service and dumping everything on the door of the military, and that's where we're failing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adio, for being with us this morning. Time is fast running out. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, quite an expansive discourse. We hope we can have it much later on Breakfast Central to really talk about this. That's the managing editor, Ayodele Adio of Avalon Daily. We'll take a quick breather, but there's still more to come on Breakfast Central. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. All right, moving on to this next story. A record-breaking 20 candidates are running to become the next mayor of London, with more than 6 million people registered to vote in the capital on 6 May. Among the candidates is Nims Obunge, an independent candidate who is of Nigerian descent and is looking to succeed current mayor Sadiq Khan of the Labour Party.
Now, Nims Obunge's 4-point strategy is one, safer streets and communities, affordable transportation network and housing, and prosperous business and lifestyle sectors, and healthy and green living. Now, London's mayor has a £19 billion budget, is responsible for transport and policing, and has a role in housing, planning, and the environment. Now, the London Assembly holds the mayor to account.
Now, this election was originally scheduled to take place in May of 2020, but it was postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Let's bring in public affairs analyst Collins Nweke. Thank you for joining us this morning, Collins.
Good
morning, Collins. Good to have you back. Now, what's the significance of this election, for you, for this, especially and for these candidates?
Well, first and foremost, like you mentioned, London is looking to hire an individual who will manage its budget of 19 billion British pounds. That's a huge sum of money. And this same individual is also expected to handle all issues that have direct relevance to their everyday life, policing, housing, jobs, and a number of other things. So this is a big deal. Now, next to that, because you asked what it is for me, there are two individuals of ethnic minority origin. One of them, Nims Obunge, happens to be a countryman of ours, who is an independent. That is significant because it tells us that Africans in diaspora are actually, coming up, making differences, controlling corporations, and making inroads in national politics in different parts of the world. To some extent, that has a way of trickling down positively to Africa if managed professionally and if managed purposefully.
All right, looking at African diaspora around the world, we're seeing first and second generation Nigerian migrants take up leadership roles. Could this trend have any positive effect on the continent?
Well, the positive effect on the continent of African sons and daughters all around the world occupying positions of influence is that you do have them as permanent ambassadors of Africa in the rest of the world. Now, just last week, the news broke of President Biden actually, recognizing genocide that took place in Armenia. Now, that was after 106 years of the atrocity happening. Of course, it was done by the Ottoman Empire era, and no president has been courageous enough to do that. But you see, the role of Armenian diaspora, that is Armenians living in the United States of America, was very critical in getting that done. Now, when you talk also of, debt relief, referring now to things that had happened in the past, African diaspora, Nigerian diaspora to be specific, was very, very instrumental in actually doing a critical lobby work to get Africa's debt, forgiven. They also helped to create, positive investment climate out in the diaspora for Nigerian or African, businesses coming to do business here. And they also help to channel fresh funds to Africa for investment purposes. So, I mean, there is a legion of positive impacts, but of course, those don't happen on their own.
Yeah.
They have to happen because, there is a strategic plan behind it, and that rests with African governments themselves, if they manage those opportunities very well.
All right, Colin, just like you mentioned, among the 20 candidates for this elections, the mayoral election this year is Nims Obunge, who is of Nigerian descent. And you've just talked about what it says about African migrants outside Africa and in diaspora. But Collins, I need to really ask you, I look at, the profile of this man talking about, Nims Obunge. He's of Nigerian descent. He was clearly born and bred in London, they're British. He's done so much community work around the African migrant community in terms of knife crime. But he's an independent candidate. He's not from Labour or from the Conservatives. Does he stand a chance, Collins?
Well, the fact that Nims has gotten this far is already victory on his own.
Okay.
Now, he is independent, like you mentioned, and the political culture out here in Europe, particularly in the UK, is not quite favorable for independent candidates to win major elections, especially one that hasn't held, national offices. Yes, Nims is very well known because of the charity work he has done. He's been recognized by the royal family, and he has quite some followings, especially, with young people. His support for startups, tech industries and all of that has endeared him to quite, a large group of people. But whether that group is large enough to, make him unseat Sadiq Khan, the current mayor, is a different kettle of fish. His chances, I would say, is not really very, very strong because he doesn't have that strong, party structure behind him like you would have for Labour and Conservative or Liberal Dems or Green candidates.
Okay.
But like I said, that he got to this point is already a huge success.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Collins, for joining us this morning.
Yeah, we'll follow this election and see. We've just had an Asian, British mayor in terms of Sadiq Khan. Are we going to have a black, British African mayor of Nigerian descent? Well, time will tell. Time will tell. Well, thank you very much once again, Collins Nweke.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right then, still Breakfast Central on News Central. A quick breather, and there's still lots to come on the program.
News Central TV.
Thank you very much for sticking with us right here on Breakfast Central on News Central. Let's go straight to the latest in the world of sports. Well, there's one man clearly who's being talked about around the world of football, especially what he did last night again. 12 goals from 9 matches.
It's so big. It's a massive 3 points for us. We got 1-0 down at halftime. We were nervous a little bit, but in the second half, we change it around. We get control of the game and get them running, and the space keep coming. Then we get the goal. It was a massive 3 points for us. We didn't start quite well. I think it was a sloppy goal, but at the second half we get control of the game, and as I said before, it was a massive 3 point, and we got it today. So it will give us a boost to go to the next game.
All right, so Kelechi Iheanacho scoring goals again. 12 goals in 9 matches for Leicester City. 14 goals in 14 matches for them. Is cracking in all competitions. So they are third on the table with that 2-1 win over Crystal Palace, which means that they are solidifying their place when it comes to next season's Champions League. It looks like Leicester will finish third, and Kelechi Iheanacho's goals is looking like what will keep them there. All right, there will be matches tonight when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. This is the one everyone is waiting for tonight. It's a big one. You know, 12-time winners. I've even lost count. 14-time winners. Real Madrid, they take on that team, Chelsea. So it's Thomas Tuchel away with his team in Spain against the team led by Zinedine Zidane. Well, you might have to look at it. Eden Hazard will be playing against his former team. So that's different angles to look at. So much later, the sports team will give you the analysis to expect between Real Madrid and Chelsea. It's a semi-final first leg of the UEFA Champions League. And that's about it on Sports for Now on News Central.
Unatazama runinga ya News Central.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central on News Central. Now we have Elizabeth, who was down with a little cold, giving us updates on Trendwave. How are you feeling this morning, Elizabeth, and what is trending on the African continent?
Very well, thank you, Oluchi and Olisa. Good morning to you guys.
Morning, Lizzie. Good to have you back. So what's happening? What's trending right now?
Okay, so I'm definitely sure that you have already seen you've spoken about what is going on in the sporting world with Kelechi Iheanacho. So apparently last night, the trends that were all over the Twitter feed is sporting activities. So Kelechi Iheanacho sent Twitter into a frenzy after inspiring goals on at the match. So here are some of the tweets. So Tifefa Bumi says, this is from Simply Tacha. She says, no jokes. Iheanacho has done more for Nigerians than the Nigerian government, putting a smile on our faces every week. Iheanacho for president. What a goal. So everybody on Twitter is basically congratulating Kelechi at this time. This is from Ayam Okon. He says, Kelechi Iheanacho trending must be the only piece of good news that's come out of Nigeria today. Man has put a smile on the faces of Nigerians as we retire to bed after a terrible day. He's been absolutely sensational lately. God bless senior man. So social media definitely went into a meltdown while praising the former Manchester City striker, who has now scored 5 times in his last 4 games for the Brendan Rodgers side. So 12 goals in his last 9 games, goal and assist in comeback win versus Crystal Palace. Tifefa Bumi says, I'm so happy for Kelechi Iheanacho. This one, Grace for soap, he choked. So definitely Grace, soap, amazing. So that's what the trend is looking like right now.
Liz, I'm forced to ask, is it because of Kelechi Iheanacho and this talk about cotton soup
Yes, I mean, I know he made it trend, and everybody say ask it. I mean, what soap is he actually using? Because give me the soap. I am interested in seeing it and getting a bit of it.
What has soap got to do with the football?
And the trend.
Now, you know, we went from Ichoke, then we went to cod soap for me. So that's the latest trend in Nigeria right now. If you see someone doing something that you like Olisa, right now I want you to cut soap for me. I want Oluchi to cut soap for me. So whatever soap you're using, I definitely want you to cut soap for me. So that's what is trending in Nigeria right now. That's the lingo in pop culture. Cut soap for me.
Okay. All right. We want to thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us and giving us updates and trend waves.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
All right. Let's check out what's coming up next on Breakfast Central.
You want to join that Balogun for that one on the latest on business. And at 9 p.m. we've got the NC Continental Prime News. You don't want to miss that. Everything across the world of Africa.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central on News Central.
Well, it's been quite a program today, especially with, you know, breaking down issues in the news, particularly in Nigeria and across Africa. Big one today, a meeting expected between Anthony Blinken, which is the U.S. Secretary of State, and Muhammadu Buhari. And we had, you know, an editor from the Avalon Daily, Ayodele, breaking it down on what to expect. It looks like it will be security on the top of the agenda of that discuss.
Of course, and we Collins Weke coming in talking about the mayoral election that will be happening in London, and of course with the African descendant who will be coming out, giving out his 4-point agenda. It makes me want to question if he can really handle all of the agenda he put out there.
It's quite a tough one, you have to say. Quite a tough one.
It is. And of course, one of the highlights I had was here Nacho and the soap.
We also had Candice Bailey out there in South Africa because, you know, it's Freedom Day in South Africa. 27 years on since, you know, apartheid finished back then in 1994. She told us what the mood is like. So to every South African, we say we celebrate with you when it comes to Freedom Day.
I mean, I'm already fancying you guys. I think I have some of their colors in me. So yeah, I can assume I can be South African just for today.
You have to learn how to do the... No pun intended. Well, that's our package on the program. Olisa and Oluchi. Yes, they call us the double O team.
Yeah, the double O. Double O-L too.
Yeah. We'll be with you again tomorrow, same time, 8 a.m. for West Africa, for Breakfast Central served hot. Yes, we need to get some food on this program. West Africa.
But you know, I mean, officially and unofficially, it says Tuesday is the most productive day of the week.
According to whom?
That's why I said officially and non-officially. Now, according to the information that we have, it says that we have the weekend, you know, we have Saturday, Sunday. So by Monday, people are still voting. You know, people are still like kind of struggling and trying their best to see how they can come back to work. But by Tuesday, everybody's
for those who are 9-to-5ers, perhaps not, maybe not for people like us. I love to use for Tuesday. I love to use, you know, the T's. You know, twisty,
terrific Tuesday,
trending, terrific, tantalizing. You know,
now where they find you?
Don't worry, I like being a bit naughty and cheeky.
Especially on Tuesdays.
Not just on Tuesdays. Yeah, Fridays too. You can add that to the mix, you know, because tomorrow is Wednesday and
that's midweek. You know, there's a little balance at that point to the midweek Wednesday. So I mean, some people call it Woman Crush Wednesday, WCW. So you know, every day has a trend on social media. You should check it out. Monday is Motivation Monday, Money Making Monday. Tuesday is Terrific Monday.
Terrific Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
And Woman Crush Wednesday. Let's see who will be crushing on tomorrow.
Throwback Thursday and TGIF.
Friday. All right, so the week is started out on a good note. Analogy will be with you tomorrow, once again, 8 a.m. West African time for Breakfast Central on News Central. Don't forget, we've got the news at the top of the hour right about now, so you don't want to miss that. We'll see you again tomorrow. On behalf of the cast and crew, we say have yourself a wonderful Tuesday. Bye-bye.